When Derek walked through the bay doors of Mountain View Auto Repair that Thursday morning, expecting to finalize the sale with the regional chain's representative, he stopped cold. Every single bay was full, not with cars, but with people. 17 of my longtime customers stood there with their arms crossed, mechanics in their uniforms lined up behind them, and there in the center of it all, leaning against the toolbox I'd used for 28 years, was me, smiling. "Morning, Derek," I said. "We've been waiting for you." Let me back up 4 months. My name is Marcus Webb, and I'm 63 years old. I've owned Mountain View Auto Repair in Boulder, Colorado since 1997, when I bought the place from Jim Patterson, who taught me everything about running a shop. Before that, I worked as a mechanic for 12 years, learning the trade, building relationships, earning trust. We're not a dealership. We're the kind of place where people bring their cars and know we'll shoot straight with them about what needs fixing and what can wait. We specialize in older vehicles, the kind that need care and attention, not computers and diagnostic machines. It's honest work, and it's been good to my family. My wife, Helen, died 2 years ago. Stroke. She was 61, and we thought we had decades left. She went to bed one Tuesday night and never woke up. When it was over, I threw myself into the shop because I didn't know what else to do with the grief. Our daughter Sarah lives here in Boulder with her husband Derek and their daughter Emma, who just turned 8. Sarah's a teacher at Fairview High School. Good kid. She worried about me after Helen died, kept asking if I was eating right, if I was sleeping, if I needed help with anything. That's when Derek started coming around more. Derek Hartman is my son-in-law. He married Sarah 6 years ago. He works in tech sales, one of those jobs where he's always on calls, always closing deals, always talking about disruption and market share and scaling. Nice enough guy, I thought. A little slick, a little too interested in money for my taste, but he loved Sarah and he was good to Emma. That was what mattered. About 6 months ago, Derek started dropping by the shop during his lunch breaks. He'd bring sandwiches, we'd eat in the office, and he'd ask questions about the business. How many customers did we have? What were the margins? Had I thought about expanding, maybe adding a second location? What was my retirement plan? "Marcus," he'd say, and I could hear genuine concern in his voice. "You're carrying all this alone. After Helen, after everything, you need to think about your future. What happens if you can't work anymore? What happens to the shop?" He had a point. I was getting older. My back hurt more than it used to. And I'd been thinking about slowing down. Sarah wasn't interested in running an auto shop. Understandably, the idea of just shutting it down when I retired, of letting all those customer relationships disappear, it bothered me. "You should bring someone in," Derek suggested one afternoon in March. "Train them up, sell them the business gradually. Or hell, I could help you run it. I've got business experience. I could handle the operations side while you focus on the technical work." I laughed it off at first. "Derek, you sell software. You don't know anything about cars." "I don't need to know about cars," he said. "You know about cars. I know about business. That's the partnership." The more he talked about it, the more it made sense. Derek was family. He was married to my daughter. He was Emma's father. If I brought him into the business, kept it in the family somehow, maybe that was better than selling to a stranger or just closing up shop when I couldn't work anymore. In April, Derek and I started having serious conversations. He'd come by with spreadsheets, projections, ideas about how we could modernize the business. Some of it made sense. Update the customer management system, add online booking, expand our service offerings. "I'm not turning this into a dealership," I told him firmly. "I don't want that either," he assured me. "I love what you've built here, the personal touch, the trust. I just want to make sure it survives into the future." By May, we were talking about making it official. Derek proposed that we restructure as a partnership. I'd maintain majority ownership and control. He'd come in as a minority partner and handle the business operations. We'd formalize everything legally. "Sarah's thrilled about this," he told me one evening. "She loves the idea of keeping the shop in the family. Emma's already telling her friends her dad's going to work with her grandpa." I should have talked to a lawyer. My own lawyer. But Derek said he knew a guy who specialized in small business partnerships, drew up the papers, made it easy. It's standard stuff, he said. Protects both of us. The documents were thick, pages and pages of legal language. I read through them as best I could, but it was dense. Partnership agreement, operating procedures, authority structures. Derek walked me through it, explaining each section. This part just says, "What happens if one of us becomes incapacitated?" he explained, pointing to a section about halfway through. Like, if you got sick or had an accident, I'd have temporary authority to keep the business running until you recovered. Standard contingency planning. It seemed reasonable. I signed the papers on a Friday evening in late May. Derek had brought a bottle of whiskey to celebrate. We toasted to Mountain View Auto, to family, to the future. 3 weeks later, I had the accident. I was driving home from the shop on a Tuesday evening, Route 36 heading west. A kid in a pickup ran a red light at Foothills and T-boned my truck. I remember the impact, the airbag, the sound of metal crunching. Then, nothing. I woke up 4 days later in Boulder Community Hospital with a concussion, 3 broken ribs, a shattered collarbone, and a fractured ankle. Sarah was there, crying with relief. Derek was there too, looking concerned. "Dad," Sarah said, holding my hand, "you scared us so badly." The doctors kept me for another week. Surgery on the collarbone, pins in the ankle. They said I'd need physical therapy for months. I'd be out of commission for a while. "Don't worry about the shop," Derek told me on day 6. "I've got it covered. Everyone's asking about you. The guys are keeping things running." I was grateful. I was in pain, exhausted, worried about recovery. The idea that Derek was handling things while I healed felt like a blessing. They released me after 11 days. Sarah and Derek had set up the guest room at their place for me since I couldn't manage stairs yet. Emma drew me pictures of race cars to hang on the wall. Derek helped me with physical therapy exercises every morning before he went to work. For 2 weeks, I recovered. Derek would give me updates about the shop, running smooth. Carl and Miguel are handling most of the work. I'm just managing the schedule and the invoices. Carl and Miguel were my 2 full-time mechanics. Carl had been with me for 8 years, Miguel for 5. Good guys, skilled, trustworthy. They ask about you every day, Derek said. Can't wait for you to come back. I was still on serious pain medication, still foggy. The physical therapy was brutal. I was focused on healing, on being able to walk without crutches, on getting my arm working again. It was Sarah who first noticed something was wrong. She came home from school one afternoon, 3 weeks after the accident, looking shaken. "Dad," she said quietly, "I drove past the shop today. There's a new sign." "What kind of new sign?" I asked. "It says Hartman Automotive Solutions." She looked at Derek, who just walked in. "Derek, what's going on?" Derek set down his briefcase. His face was calm, professional. I was going to talk to Marcus about this when he was feeling better. The branding needed updating. Mountain View Auto Repair sounds outdated. We're repositioning for growth. "You changed the name of my shop?" I felt a cold weight in my stomach. "Our shop," Derek corrected gently. "And it's just a rebrand. The services are the same. The quality is the same. We're just presenting a more modern image to compete in today's market." "Derek," Sarah's voice was tight, "you can't just change the name of Dad's business without asking him." "Actually," Derek said, and his tone shifted slightly, became flatter, "I can. Marcus signed power of attorney documents when we formalized the partnership. In the event of his incapacitation, I have full operational authority. This is exactly the kind of decision I'm authorized to make." The pain medication fog started to clear. "What are you talking about? Those were partnership papers." "They were comprehensive business documents," Derek said, "which included contingency planning. You're incapacitated, Marcus. You can't work. Someone has to make decisions to keep the business viable." "I'm healing," I said, my voice rising despite the pain in my ribs. "I'll be back in a few weeks." "Maybe," Derek said, "or maybe not. You're 63 years old. This was a serious accident. The doctors said full recovery could take 6 months, if it happens at all. The business can't wait that long. I'm doing what's necessary." Sarah stood up. Derek, what the hell is this? This is business, Derek said to her. Your father's shop was stagnant. No growth, no plan for succession, no adaptation to market changes. I'm fixing that. He should be thanking me for stepping up when he couldn't. Get out, I said. This is my house, Derek replied. Then I'll leave. I tried to stand up, but the pain in my ankle shot through me and I sat back down hard. Marcus, Derek's voice softened, became almost kind. You're hurt. You're emotional. You need to focus on healing. Let me handle the business. When you're better, we'll talk about everything. But right now, you need to trust me. I didn't sleep that night. Sarah and Derek fought in their bedroom, their voices carrying through the walls. I heard my daughter crying. I heard Derek's calm, reasonable tone explaining business decisions and legal authority. The next morning, Sarah drove me to my house. She helped me inside, got me settled. Dad, I'm so sorry, she said. I didn't know he was going to do this. When he talked about helping with the shop, I thought he meant actually helping, not taking over. It's not your fault, I told her. I'm going to talk to a lawyer. He can't just steal your business. He's your husband, Emma's father. He's also wrong, she said firmly. This isn't right. After she left, I sat there in my living room, my ankle propped up, my ribs aching, trying to piece together what had happened. Derek had used those partnership documents to take control while I was unconscious. He'd changed the name. What else had he changed? I called the shop, Miguel answered. Marcus, man, it's good to hear your voice. How you feeling? Getting there. Miguel, what's going on at the shop? There was a pause. Derek didn't tell you? Tell me what? He's making changes. Big ones. He brought in some consultant last week. Guy was walking around with a clipboard evaluating everything. Derek's talking about modernizing, upgrading equipment, expanding services. He changed the name, changed the logo. He's got us working on newer cars now, the kind that need computer diagnostics. Carl quit. My chest tightened. Carl quit? Last Friday. Derek wanted him to get certified on European vehicles. Said we needed to move up market. Carl said that wasn't what he signed up for, that this wasn't Mountain View anymore. They got into it, and Carl walked. Derek replaced him with some kid fresh out of tech school who knows computers but can't diagnose a carburetor problem by sound. Miguel, are you okay? Honestly? I'm looking for another job. This isn't the place I came to work at. Derek treats it like a software company. Everything's metrics and efficiency and upselling. Yesterday he told me I needed to recommend premium services to every customer, even if their car doesn't need it. That's not how you taught me, Marcus. After I hung up, I sat there shaking. Not just from pain, but from rage and helplessness. Derek was destroying everything I'd built. 28 years of reputation, of trust, of relationships. Gone in 3 weeks. I called a lawyer that afternoon. The first 2 couldn't see me for weeks. The third, Amanda Rodriguez, had an opening the next day. I took an Uber to her office in downtown Boulder, hobbling in on my crutches. Amanda was in her 40s, sharp-eyed, direct. I explained everything. She listened, taking notes. When I finished, she leaned back. Mr. Webb, I need to see those documents you signed. But based on what you're describing, it sounds like your son-in-law may have included power of attorney provisions that go beyond what you understood. This happens more often than you'd think, especially with family. People trust, they don't read carefully, and they get taken advantage of. Can I get the business back? Maybe. If we can prove that the documents were misleading, or that he's exceeding his authority, or that there was fraud involved. But I need to see what you actually signed. Do you have copies? They'd be at the shop. In your son-in-law's possession. Yeah. Amanda tapped her pen on the desk. How's your relationship with your mechanics? The people who work there? Miguel still works there. He's loyal. Carl just quit, but he'd help if I asked. Call them. See if they can access those files. We need to know exactly what you signed before we can figure out how to fight this. I called Miguel from the parking lot. I need a favor. There's a file cabinet in the office, second drawer. There should be a folder labeled Partnership Documents. Can you get me those papers? Derek keeps the office locked now, Miguel said. But I've got the spare key you gave me for emergencies. This count as an emergency? Yeah, it does. Miguel got me the documents that night. I photographed every page and sent them to Amanda. She called me the next morning. Her voice was tight. Mr. Webb, these documents are worse than I thought. What you signed wasn't a partnership agreement. It's a power of attorney with business transfer provisions. In the event of your incapacity, your son-in-law gets full control of all business operations, all accounts, all assets. There's even a clause allowing him to execute a sale of the business without your consent if you remain incapacitated for more than 60 days. The room spun. He's going to sell the shop? He can. And based on the timeline, you've been incapacitated for about 40 days. He has 20 more days to do whatever he wants, including selling everything out from under you. How do I stop him? We file for an emergency hearing to have you declared mentally competent and to revoke the power of attorney. We argue that you were misled about the nature of the documents, that he told you it was a partnership agreement when it was actually a transfer of authority. We'll need testimony from people who heard what he told you about the documents. Did anyone witness those conversations? I thought back. Sarah, my daughter. She was there for some of the discussions. And Miguel? He heard Derek talking about being a partner, about working together. Good. We'll need sworn statements from both of them. And Mr. Webb, I need to be clear. This is your daughter's husband. This is going to tear your family apart. He's already done that, I said. The emergency hearing was scheduled for 10 days out. In the meantime, I started making calls. First, I called my customers, or tried to. But when I called the shop asking for customer contact information, Derek's new receptionist, someone I'd never heard of, told me that information was proprietary and she couldn't release it. But I'd been in business for 28 years. I knew my customers. I started calling the ones I remembered. Bill Patterson, who'd been bringing his '72 Chevy truck to me for 15 years. Marcus, we heard about your accident. You doing okay? Getting there, Bill? Listen, have you been to the shop recently? Yeah, about 2 weeks ago. It's different, Marcus. New name, new people. The kid who worked on my truck didn't know what he was doing. Tried to tell me I needed a whole new transmission when it's just a linkage issue. I told him to stop the work, and I took it to Jerry's in Longmont instead. Bill, I'm not running the shop right now. Derek is, and he's trying to sell it. The hell he is. That's your shop, Marcus. Not according to the papers I signed, but I'm fighting it. I've got a lawyer, and we're going to court in 10 days. I wanted you to know. What can I do? Don't go back there. And if you know anyone else who's been a customer, tell them what's happening. Derek's counting on the reputation I built to sell the business. If the customers disappear, the business is worth a lot less. I made 17 calls that first day. Every single person was angry when they heard what Derek had done. Word started spreading. Sarah came by that evening. Her eyes were red from crying. Derek and I are separating, she said quietly. I can't be with someone who would do this to you. Emma doesn't understand why Daddy's not coming home, and I don't know how to explain it to her. Sarah, you don't have to do this. Yes, I do. What he did is unforgivable. I've been talking to people, Dad. Your customers, your suppliers. Everyone's furious. Derek's getting calls from people canceling their appointments, and he doesn't understand why. He will soon. Miguel called me 2 days later. Marcus, you need to know something. Derek's meeting with a buyer, some regional chain called Precision Auto Group. They're coming to look at the shop tomorrow. Evaluate everything. Thanks for the heads up. I called Amanda. She filed a motion for an expedited hearing. The judge moved it up to 3 days away. The hearing was on a Wednesday morning at Boulder County Justice Center. Sarah drove me, helped me navigate the courthouse on my crutches. Derek was already there with his lawyer, an expensive-looking guy, in a suit that probably cost more than I made in a month. The judge was a man in his 60s named William Kramer. He read through our emergency motion, read Derek's response, and looked at both of us. This is a petition to revoke power of attorney and declare Mr. Marcus Webb mentally competent and able to manage his own affairs. Mr. Hartman, Your attorney is arguing that Mr. Webb signed these documents with full understanding, and that his current petition is simply an attempt to undo a legal agreement because he's unhappy with business decisions. Let's hear it. Amanda went first. She presented the documents, showed how they were titled Partnership Agreement, but actually contained power of attorney provisions. She presented my testimony about what Derek told me the documents were. She presented Sarah's sworn statement that Derek had consistently referred to it as a partnership, never mentioned power of attorney. Derek's lawyer argued that I was a competent adult who signed legal documents, that it was my responsibility to read carefully, that Derek had every right to make business decisions as the appointed attorney in fact. Then Judge Kramer asked Derek directly, "Mr. Hartman, when you presented these documents to Mr. Webb, did you explain that they included power of attorney provisions?" Derek hesitated. "I explained they included contingency planning." "Did you use the words power of attorney?" "I don't recall the exact wording. Did you suggest that Mr. Webb have his own attorney review the documents before signing?" "I didn't think it was necessary. I was using my attorney to draft something that protected both of us." "Did you tell Mr. Webb this was a partnership agreement?" Derek's lawyer whispered something to him. Derek straightened. "I may have used that term, but the documents clearly state the actual arrangement. Mr. Hartman, you have a college degree in business. You work in tech sales. You understand contracts. Mr. Webb has been a mechanic his entire adult life. Did it occur to you that there might be an imbalance of information in this situation?" "The documents were clear." "They were clear to you," Judge Kramer said. "Were they clear to Mr. Webb?" Derek didn't answer. Judge Kramer closed the file. "I'm revoking the power of attorney, effective immediately. Mr. Webb is clearly competent, and the circumstances under which these documents were signed suggest at minimum misrepresentation, at worst fraud. Mr. Webb's full authority over his business is restored. Mr. Hartman, you will return all accounts, access, and control to Mr. Webb within 24 hours. You are barred from making any further business decisions. If you've entered into any agreements to sell the business, they are void as of this moment." Derek's face went white. "Your Honor, I've spent weeks rebuilding that business. I've invested my own money in upgrades." "Then you should have been honest with Mr. Webb about what he was signing. This hearing is concluded. I walked out of that courthouse into the Colorado sunshine, and for the first time in 6 weeks, I could breathe." Amanda smiled. "That went better than I expected." Judge Kramer saw right through him. "What happens now?" "Derek has to give you everything back. If he doesn't comply, we go back to the judge, and he faces contempt charges. You've won, Marcus." That afternoon, Derek sent an email. All account passwords, all access codes, everything. He didn't include a single word of explanation or apology. I called Miguel. Spread the word. We're back in business. Mountain View Auto Repair is back. The next morning, Thursday morning, I drove to the shop for the first time since the accident. I was still on crutches. My ankle was still healing, but I could drive. I got there early, before opening. I'd made some calls the night before. When Derek arrived at 9 a.m. to meet with the Precision Auto Group representatives, he found them. All 17 of my longtime customers who I'd called. Carl, my former mechanic, who'd come back, Miguel, and the 2 part-timers. They filled the bays, standing there waiting. And me, in the center, leaning against my old toolbox. "Morning, Derek," I said. "We've been waiting for you." Derek stopped in the doorway. He looked at all of us, at the wall of people who'd built this shop's reputation. Bill Patterson spoke first. "I've been bringing my vehicles to Marcus for 15 years. You tried to scam me with unnecessary transmission work. I told everyone I know." Another customer, Janet Chen, stepped forward. "You changed the name without asking. You brought in kids who don't know a distributor from a differential. I'm done here." One by one, they spoke. Not shouting, not threatening, just telling him what he'd tried to take, what it meant that we'd stopped him. Derek stood there, his face red, staring at the floor. When the last person finished, I spoke. "Derek, you used my trust in you. You used your marriage to my daughter. You used my accident as an opportunity. I would have brought you into this business legitimately if you'd just been patient, if you'd been honest, but you chose to steal it instead. I was trying to save it, he said quietly. You were stagnant. The business was dying. The business was fine. You wanted to cash out and you saw an opportunity. But here's what you didn't understand. This shop isn't the building or the equipment. It's the relationships. It's the trust. And you destroyed all of that in 3 weeks. I handed him the revised partnership papers. Sign these. They dissolve any claim you have to the business. You walk away with nothing except what you put in. Nothing. His hand shook as he signed. You're going to tell Sarah why, I added. You're going to explain to Emma why you're not going to be part of our lives anymore. And you're going to live with knowing that you destroyed your own family for money you never got. Derek nodded once and left. Through the window, I watched him sit in his car for a long moment before driving away. The customers stayed. We spent that morning changing everything back. Bill helped me take down the Hartman Automotive Solutions sign. We painted over it that afternoon. Replaced it the next day with a new Mountain View Auto Repair sign. Carl came back, full-time. Miguel's smile returned. The regional chain representatives never showed up. Word had spread about what Derek had done, and they didn't want to be associated with it. Sarah filed for divorce 2 weeks later. She and Emma moved in with me while she looked for her own place. Emma drew more race car pictures to hang in the shop office. Grandpa, she asked me one evening, why did Daddy do those bad things? I thought about how to answer that. Sometimes people get scared about not having enough, and they make bad choices. It doesn't mean he doesn't love you. It just means he made mistakes. Will you forgive him? I don't know yet, sweetheart. That's going to take time. Sarah eventually found a place of her own, a townhouse in North Boulder. Emma adjusted. She still sees Derek every other weekend, court mandated. He moved to Denver, works for a different company. We don't speak. Mountain View Auto Repair is still here on Valmont Road in Boulder. I'm back full-time now, though my ankle reminds me of the accident on cold mornings. Carl and Miguel are still with me. We've hired a third mechanic, a young woman named Rosa who's brilliant with diagnostics and actually listens to what cars are telling her. I'm 63, almost 64. I've started thinking seriously about succession planning, the real kind, with lawyers I choose, with paperwork I understand, with time to make sure it's done right. Maybe I'll sell to Carl and Miguel. Maybe we'll bring in a younger mechanic to buy in gradually. Maybe I'll just run it until I can't anymore. But I'm not in a hurry. The shop's doing well. Our customers came back, brought their friends. The reputation Derek tried to steal and sell is stronger than ever because people know I fought for it. I think about Derek sometimes. Not often, but sometimes. I think about how he could have been part of something good. How trust, once broken with family, leaves scars that don't heal. I think about Sarah, raising Emma alone, dealing with the pain of a marriage that imploded because her husband chose money over integrity. Helen used to say that the worst thing you can do is doubt your own judgment after someone betrays you. She'd say that if you trusted someone and they proved unworthy, the problem is them, not your ability to trust. She was right about that. She was right about most things. I still believe in trust. Mountain View Auto is still here because 17 customers trusted me enough to stand up and fight alongside me. Because Carl trusted that I'd make things right if he came back. Because Miguel never doubted that we'd fix this together. Derek taught me to be more careful, to read every word, to never sign anything without my own lawyer reviewing it, to remember that family doesn't automatically mean loyalty. But he didn't teach me to stop trusting. I won't let him take that from me, too. The shop opens at 8 tomorrow morning. I'll be there, probably a few minutes early, like I've been for 28 years. Ready to help whoever walks through that door. Same as always. Same as I'll be for as long as I'm able. That's Mountain View Auto Repair. That's my legacy. And that's what matters.